Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Circuit Stream Open House. I'm about a minute late here. I apologize for the delay, but I hope everybody is doing well. I expect people will be kind of trickling in and out as we do the presentation here, but to start, before I get going, I usually ask just to make sure that everybody can see me okay, everybody can hear me okay. I'll keep an eye on the chat log at the side here just to make sure. Hello, yep. Good plant vibes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I like my plants. Awesome. Looks like everybody can see me okay and hear me okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump into a little bit of housekeeping notes here to start. I always like to make sure people are aware of the chat log. Obviously, you guys are because we're interacting through there already, but there's also a questions tab and a polls tab off to the side. I don't have any polls set up yet, but I will post a couple polls a little bit later on in the presentation. In terms of the questions tab, you are welcome to post questions right in the chat log if you like, but you're also welcome to use the questions tab there. Either way, we do have team members kind of working on the back end throughout the presentation, and they will be answering some of the questions. We do hold on to some of them usually and try and answer them as a group at the end in case it's information that would be relevant to quite a few people at once, or if we just don't get the chance, I guess, to go through all the questions that come up. So please feel free to use both of those on the side. And then something I always like to ask too is where is everybody joining us from here today? Myself, I'm from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I can see we've got Sweden, New York City, Hawaii, another New York City, Vancouver, Los Angeles, Ohio. Awesome. Another New York. Wow, there's lots of New York people here today. That's great. And another New York, two more. Geez. All right. Well, it's New York and company in the audience here today. But welcome everybody. What we're going to do, I'm going to share a presentation here with you in just a minute. Actually, you know what? I'll go ahead and put this up on the screen right now. And this will be a little bit of the introduction for the open house here today. So we are going to be joined by a guest speaker shortly, and we're going to dive a little bit more into XR development overall, our courses, and then of course their experience in the industry. Let me get that going here. So our guest speaker for today is going to be Mondae. Myself, my name is Tyler, Tyler Trapp. I am actually previously was an enrollment advisor here at Circuit Stream. I've recently kind of shifted a little bit more into a university partnership role for the company. But either way, I've been here for just about a year. Things about myself here, I'm coming from a background in hospitality and tourism, and I'm a little bit of an artist. I always say it's self-taught. It's not, any formal training per se, but I like to paint and draw. And more recently, I've been getting into digital art on my iPad, which is really fun too. And then our guest speaker today is going to be Mondae. Mondae is a production engineering manager at Bungie. Mondae is also one of our current students at Circuit Stream and a former student, depending on which course you're looking at, I guess. But he's a passionate XR developer. And then a little bit about himself. He crushes Spartan obstacle races in his free time. So if you have any questions about that, I'm sure he'd be happy to share more about that with you when he is up on stage here. And then for today's open house, we are going to be going through a few items here. I'm just going to run through the agenda really quickly. So we are in the introduction stage right now, about 5 minutes or so. I'm just going to introduce what we're doing here. Then we are going to jump into a little bit of an industry overview, Unity 3D. We're going to take a quick look at some of our Circuit Stream educational programs. I anticipate both of those together be about 10-15 minutes. And then I am going to open up the stage here for Mondae to pop in and share his experience, what he's currently doing, and answer any questions that you might have as we go through here. So Circuit Stream, just really quickly, who is Circuit Stream? We were founded in 2015. Our owners just noticed a gap in the industry in terms of training within XR. So our goal has always been to share a foundation of knowledge on the best tools, processes, and workflows for both Unity and XR development and design. To date, we've actually supported, this number here is a little outdated. It says over 40,000 learners. It's actually over 45,000 learners right now, and consistently growing at a very rapid pace, actually. Our team is located all around the world. Like I said, myself, I'm located in the headquarters here in Calgary, Alberta. We also have our founders who are located here in Calgary, and then we have people you can see on the map just located all around the world. So great for different students, different time zones, support of all kinds there. We have certification. We actually are a certified training partner with Unity. So Unity looks for specific criteria to partner with companies. So we'd be approved based on our expertise, our focus on quality education, and the demonstrated success of our students. So obviously we are doing well in all of these areas, which is why we are partnered with Unity directly. So once you complete our courses, you would actually be certified by both us, and it would be backed by Unity as well, which is really great. We will dive into Unity in just a minute here, but if you're familiar in the industry, Unity is a very, very big name and not at all bad to be certified by as you're moving into XR development and design. I mentioned we are partnered with universities. Our portfolio is constantly growing with this, but this is just some of our university partners who we are currently working with to offer our courses. So for students anywhere in the world, they are welcome to attend the courses through us directly, or they are welcome to attend through university if they are in the same state or province that the university itself is located in. So a little bit about our university profile here. And then we've actually had the opportunity to work with, tons of companies. I could probably fill 3 or 4 pages of logos if I really wanted to, but this is just here to kind of give you a good idea of a variety of the different companies who we have worked with since we were founded in 2015. These are people sending through their staff individually or in groups to, move into training methods for XR development and design. And then a little bit about the industry. The last slide didn't give you a good idea of who's adopting the technology. This one here would be a really good overview of the industries that are currently employing XR developers and designers. So you can see, media, entertainment, architecture, military, healthcare, education, manufacturing. The list itself is actually quite a bit larger than this. It's moving into most industries at the moment, but these are people who are hiring, or industries rather, that are hiring quite a bit right now. Oops, one slide too far. Industry growth, trends and growth. So PwC released a report back in 2019, maintaining that 23.5 million jobs worldwide will be using augmented and virtual reality by 2030 for training, collaboration, and to provide new digital experiences. That's huge. That's a massive statistic. And then VR and AR have the potential to add $1.5 trillion to the global economy by 2030. So basically what the takeaway from this should be that there's a huge amount of expected growth in this industry, and it's a really good time to get in if you're looking to learn XR development or design. Careers in XR development. I can kind of go through these individually, but overall, these are just some careers in XR overall that you'd be looking at moving into once you take a development or design course with us or one of our boot camps here. And then learning some skills in XR. XR is currently high demand for job growth in AR and VR, and it's like I said, it's continuing at a really rapid pace. There's constantly new roles and titles being regularly introduced into the job market. Just some statistics that you can see up here: 1,400% AR VR job growth in 2020 alone, 601% demand growth for Unity and Unreal skills. We are actually dabbling in both of those right now, and then 20,000. Increase in your salary alone just with Unity skills. So these are all really, really promising statistics, and they go, to back up the anticipated growth by 2030 here that we are seeing. So what is Unity? If you've seen this interface before, you've probably been in Unity. If you have not, this is just the beginning stages. And actually, if you recognize this muffin clicker game that you can see on the screen, you've probably taken our C# course as well. But for those who are not familiar, Unity is a free 3D development engine for building games, simulations, and experiences. It's the easiest way to begin making apps, games, and experiences. Unreal we work with as well, but in terms of ease of use, Unity seems to be key for that right now. And then Unity is used to create over 60% of the world's AR, VR content and applications. So it is holding the majority stake right now. But like I said, Unreal is doing a lot as well. And we are expanding to offer both of those at the moment. Unity's impact is global. 3 billion times the apps developed. Sorry, 3 billion times apps developed by Unity creators are downloaded per month, in 190 countries where Unity is currently in. I mean, it's probably expanding. It might even be larger than that already. And then how do our courses work? So it's just, really quick overview. Basically, everything starts with an idea. You would then bring it into Unity. You'd be using the tools, the interface, and the broad scope of functionality, and you would build your idea. Once you've created your application, you can launch it in a multitude of devices using the relevant software developer kit or SDK, term you'd be learning as you go through the course. And once you've done that, you would download it and engage, and that would be the application that you've created. So just to give you an idea of what the process would look like for that. And then we do offer several different courses here. The focus today is predominantly going to be on the XR Development with Unity course, but we do offer 3 main courses overall. We actually have more on our website as well, and we're constantly growing and expanding. But in terms of the 10-week courses, we have the XR Development with Unity course, and we have the Interaction Design and Prototyping for XR course. Both of these are 10 weeks. They're structured very similarly, and I'll give you a little bit more info after the main presentation here for that. And then we also have our 24-week Unity Developer Bootcamp. This is a little bit more intricate. It's, all of our courses are somewhat beginner friendly. The bootcamp, though, is a little bit required experience in Unity and likely with development and coding going into that one. But yeah, those are the 3 main courses that we have here. And then in terms of, excuse me, in terms of start dates, upcoming start dates, specifically for XR development, July 26th of this month would be the upcoming start date for both, straight through Circuit Stream and also through all of our university partners that you can see on the screen here. And without further ado, this is the moment where I am going to bring Mondae up onto the stage. I mentioned before, Mondae is a production engineering manager at Bungie. He's a passionate XR developer, and he crushes Spartan obstacle races in his free time. So Mondae, if you are available and ready, you are welcome to pop up on the screen here with me.
All right. Hey, how are you going? How's it going, Tyler?
Perfect. Good, good. How are you doing today, Mondae?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So I am going to get started here. I'm just going to flip this screen actually and bring you over to here. And maybe before we jump into anything too intricate here, Monday, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Maybe what you're doing, where you come from, anything interesting? You can elaborate on the Spartan races if you like.
Yeah. So like Tyler was saying, my name is Monday. A little bit about myself. So I am not from like an XR background or a computer background at all. So I'm actually coming from, operations management in the healthcare industry. I also did process improvement within, pharmaceutical and clinical diagnostics. So as far away from computers as possible, I was very much a people manager. And I think my phone heard me talking about, hey, building an XR would be pretty cool. And then all of a sudden, like Circuit Stream just started coming up on like my feeds everywhere. So I took the leap. I love it. But me personally, like you said, I crushed the Spartan races back in 2019 pre-COVID. I haven't been able to get back into them. But I just, really fell into a groove with like developing in Unity and exploring all the possibilities. I'm a huge nerd, so Power Rangers, Star Trek, Star Wars. As soon as I realized that like VR provides a platform where you can make things come to life, and like I don't have to be, part of the power grid to create a VR simulation and feel like a Power Ranger. It just like blew my mind, and I drank the Kool-Aid and haven't stopped.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Well, so I guess that tells us a little bit about how you got into us here at Circuit Stream, but maybe tell us a little bit more about your first experiences with XR.
Yeah. So my first experience with XR was tripping and falling multiple times. So I was one of the people who looked at it and was like, well, Unity is free. So I'm going to download Unity onto my computer and I'm just going to be able to create something amazing. And got error messages, did not know what Visual Studio was or what C# was. So my journey into XR was almost like hitting my head on the wall long enough until I realized like, hey, I should probably ask for some help. And I was about halfway through the XR dev course, still hitting my head on the wall, trying to figure out everything. And then one day I looked at like a piece of script and I could just like read it as if it was a book and understand it. And in that moment, it's like the doors opened up. And that's been my journey into XR, and I've been able to leverage it, a lot of what you were saying in your presentation, into different industries. So I started off making training simulations for, the hospital center that I was working with, and then working with my clinical diagnostics, companies. I was able to do process improvement simulations where they were able to see the data in action. So instead of just me talking about like, oh, metrics and bar graphs and everything like that, I was able to create a situation where they felt the current state barriers of their process. And then through manipulating little things, they could see what like the end goal was. So then when they took off the headset and I was like, okay, let's go do it, they were like, yeah, let's go. Like, we know it'll work. Um, so I did that on the professional side, and then personally, like, I'm always just building different projects. As soon as I see an SDK that I haven't used before, I'm like, I have to use it. And so I figure out some way to apply it, some way to use it, and just start a new project. So that's been my journey.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And then something I usually like to ask on behalf, I guess, of the audience here, if somebody was looking at getting into this brand new, would you have any sort of advice that you'd be able to offer to new people looking to get started, especially if they're a little bit nervous about it, if they're worried about not understanding coding or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, so I think I would probably, and kind of what I've talked to people about before, is like coding is truly like learning a new language. So I would say don't go into it unless you're like a savant or something with languages. Don't go into it thinking that like in 2 weeks you're going to be able to build some crazy thing or even build a small thing. I always go back to like high school Spanish was probably like I think everybody sucked at high school Spanish, honestly. But you spent a whole semester trying to learn high school Spanish or French or German, whatever your language was, and you still weren't fluent in it. So I always equate that to the same amount of time it takes to really be able to understand C sharp to the point where you'll be able to fully create start to finish your own thing. And the biggest thing with that is don't be afraid to use the resources that are available. There's GitHub repositories where people have put up partial projects or full projects, like grab pieces from that, go to the Unity asset store, find things that you like, grab from that. Like, there is no shame in making a project that's like 25% your brain, 75% things that you've grabbed from other places. Because at the end of the day, you're still putting them together in a way that makes it very unique to you. Um, but C sharp is hard. It's hard. There's ways around it. There's toolkits that require very little scripting. There's toolkits that require a whole lot. So it's almost like a pick your poison, but just understand that it's going to take time, and it's a process.
It's great though that there's enough tools out there and support in a way that you have the option to go out and use only 25% of your idea and actually have 75% support until you get to that point, I guess. Hey.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, even for me, like to this point, when I have personal projects that I'm working on, the first thing I do is I ideate it, and of course I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to look. I know I'm not a 3D modeler. Like Blender and Maya and all those platforms are daunting to me. So I immediately go to like the Unity asset store or Mixamo or whatever, resources that you have. And I find those assets, and I play to my strengths. I know that I'm very good at conceptualizing what I need to be done and at least starting the script. And then when it gets into like the more finer details, I reach out for help, or I find another project that somebody's posted on GitHub that I can like piece together myself. Um, and you still get that same satisfaction because even in doing that, you're still learning and expanding and trying something new. And I think that's the biggest thing to learning. Like with XR, since it's a new industry, there's always something new. So even if you love augmented reality and you love AR Foundation, don't let that stop you from trying something new. Or if you've always built for the Oculus headset, like that doesn't mean that if you had the opportunity, you should try the mixed reality toolkit or try building for like HTC or something like that, because all of that is ultimately going to build like your knowledge base and how you can apply this in your problem solving.
Awesome, awesome. And just because you mentioned it there too, do you have any sort of recommendations for people getting started in terms of headsets? Is there anything, I usually, gravitate towards the Oculus just because it seems to be, I kind of call it the Starbucks of headsets in a way. It's affordable, it's available. But yeah, I'm just curious about your input on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very biased to Oculus as well. That's the headset that I have. I just bought an HTC Vive because it was on sale for Prime Day through Amazon. So I took the.
Oh, I don't know. I can't hear you right now, Monday. Oh,
Can you hear me now?
yeah, yeah. Sorry, go ahead. So you took the opportunity to purchase one?
Yep. I took advantage of Prime Day and went ahead and bought it on sale. So my wife doesn't know. It's going to be a discussion to be had, ask for forgiveness instead of permission. But yeah, I mean, I would highly recommend the Oculus headset. To your point, it's the most affordable one. So it's not going to like break your wallet or anything like that. Unity is pretty much set up for Oculus already. It's just a click of a button. Really, for any of the headsets, it's just a click of a button. But Oculus doesn't take a lot of like extra setup or extra things that you need to buy. It's kind of a one-stop shop. And then what you can do with Oculus, especially with a lot of like the recent updates that they've done, you can get a lot closer to the same experience as like the HoloLens or the HTC Vive. It may not be to the same quality or to the same extent, but you can do that with an Oculus headset. So I own two Oculus headsets because I like to do multiplayer development as well. So like I strap one to my daughter and one on myself, and we just run around in VR. And I mean, it's a great experience.
Oh, that's amazing. We've got some people laughing at the ask for forgiveness later and the purchasing of the headset right away on the deal, and
Yeah,
somebody upset that they missed the Prime Day deal there.
yeah.
Um, so let me see here. Yeah, yeah. A question I usually like to ask, as you're moving into XR, a lot of people understand that there's a bit of a process in terms of, learning coding and coming in as a new beginner. And it's obviously going to take a little bit of time to get established in the industry. Now there is a bunch of support on that note. Do you have any sort of advice for people kind of coming in terms of where they might be able to share their work, or they might be able to collaborate with other people who are beginning as well?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So there is so many opportunities. Granted, you do kind of have to know where to look, but I would honestly start with following like your local neighborhood XR developer on like their social media profiles. So I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but there's one guy called Dilmer who has a great social media presence. Valum has a great social media presence. So following them and kind of seeing the work that they do and also like the instructional videos that they do is a great way to start. And they usually host their own like game jams or GitHub repos. So I know there's actually one going on now where it's a whole bunch of like the YouTube XR personalities are holding a live game jam and they want it to like break YouTube. They're trying to get as many people in it as possible. And when you see those game jam opportunities, you'll be knees deep into people who have, no knowledge of it, all the way into experts in the industry. And it's all just about like the fun of creating like the next game or the next simulation. So I would start there. Um, of course, marketing your own like personal branding is something that we've talked about in the boot camp, but making sure that if that's what you want to do, you also have your own personal brand and you're connected the right way and you're portraying yourself as like a developer or a UI designer. Um, on your social media accounts so that way you also get the content that you're looking for. But really just reaching out. I think any opportunity that I've had where I'm like scrolling through LinkedIn and like I see somebody and they have like XR developer either as their job title or in their tagline, I like dive into their page. Like, what are you working on? Who do you follow? What are some events that you're going to? And then once you find those events, just kind of like flagging them like, oh, I missed AWE this year, but I'm going to go next year. Or I missed this game jam, but they said they have it every 6 months. So I'm going to go ahead and try to join it in the next 6 months. And then not being afraid. Like from every experience that I've had within the XR community, everybody loves to nerd out with you. So if you think that you're going to be like the noob or the newbie that doesn't know anything and you don't want to embarrass yourself or you don't want to seem like a hassle, like you're not. This is new technology. Even the people who are experts in it, somebody can release a new SDK tomorrow and now they're no longer an expert because there's something new that you have to learn. So it's really just about having that joy of just like learning how people use it, learning how like you might use a hand SDK one way, but I might use it a completely different way. And not being afraid to just ask questions and get involved.
Awesome. I mean, that's been at least my experience connecting with people in this industry, that people are incredibly supportive and collaborative. And like you said, everybody just gets excited and likes to nerd out together and learn new ways to do all of this. Um,
Exactly.
so um, maybe let's shift a little bit to your experience at Circuit Stream. Maybe tell us a little bit about the courses that you've done with us and how that's been going for you.
Yeah. So with Circuit Stream, so I started off with the XR Dev course and the C Sharp course, because I think like a good majority of us, I went in wanting to be like an XR developer. I want to build this. I want this to be my career. And so I started with that course. I did not follow the rules. So it is very clearly stated that you should do C Sharp before you do XR Dev. So that way you like understand it. I went in very arrogant and decided to just go straight into XR Dev and worry about C Sharp later. And that goes into my comment that I made earlier, where I was just like bashing my head against the wall for like the first few weeks, just like trying to pick up the pieces of like, what is C Sharp? How does this work? How does it talk to everything? Um, but I absolutely loved the XR Dev class. Like, the people that were in my cohort, they were communicating. I mean, everything about the Circuit Stream community is great because everybody is just like talking and collaborating all the time. My instructor, Ozzy, at the time was awesome, and he always took the time to answer questions and just explain and elaborate. And he wasn't afraid to like have the classes run longer if somebody wanted to see like a unique feature of something. So that was always exciting. So XR Dev was great. I left that one. I think throughout XR Dev, you end up leaving with like 5 portfolio pieces. If you follow the program like to the T, you end up with like 5 project pieces. And then from there, you have the game jam at the end of the class, and that was like the cumulative of we're going to collaborate, we're going to like design something awesome based off of like it needs to be able to be destructible and buildable, so your brain can go to tower defense. You could do a Lego simulation. You could, I don't know, do like a nuclear bomb simulation where you just like are throwing bombs at people. And seeing the projects that came at the end of the class, I mean, my group, we made a tower defense game that I love because it had a bunch of weapon mods and customizable. It was great. It was like Call of Duty Zombies in VR. We loved it.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. But seeing what other people did that maybe wasn't as directly aligned to the topic was also good. I mean, I clearly remember that there was a group that made a constellation game where like the stars had fallen out of the sky and it was your job to pick up the stars and like put them back in the sky.
Cool.
And just like watching that demo, I was like, it's something I would have never thought of. They used the same toolkits that I did, but in a completely different way, and it was just blowing my mind. Um, so I loved XR Dev. C Sharp, once I did XR Dev, I went through that. I did the Muffin Clicker game. So I had that as another project piece. So now all of a sudden my portfolio is 7 projects. And then I'm currently in the Unity Bootcamp. And I really enjoy that as well because it almost starts where XR Dev and prototyping and design stop. And it's like, okay, you know the fundamentals, you're able to create these things, you understand the language. Now let's make you a professional. And so the boot camp is just like nose diving into it, project optimization, and really building out more complex projects and focusing on GitHub collaboration. But then the other side of the boot camp is that career side. And so for those of us that want the career, having dedicated time to talk to industry experts, ask those questions, get personal branding ideas and portfolio setup and project teamwork and all these things, it's like I mean, it's a great resource to have. It's a great opportunity. I know I was on the fence about it for, I think like up to the day of, you and I were still talking about it. And then I pulled the trigger like the first day of class. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I mean, it's great. It's great. And throughout that one, I mean, you end up with quite a few project pieces from that. So all in all, I mean, I think the biggest thing that I've had people ask is like, how do you build your portfolio for XR? And I'm like, Circuit Stream. Like Circuit Stream will build your portfolio very quick.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And then how far into you must be getting about halfway through the boot camp now, hey?
Yeah, so we actually just got our midterm project assignments last week. So taking what we've learned so far on like collaboration, project management, agile, scrum, and all the things that you would do like if you were in the professional industry. So not just focusing on developing a game, but what was your thought process for your project? How did you divide your agile into sprints and who was in charge of what and what was your timelines? Like really making a professional project, and then working with a team. So we have to use like Git collaboration, be able to push and pull and everything like that. So we just got that assignment last week. I have my first meeting with my midterm project team on Friday to start hashing out action items and developing our sprint timeline. But I mean, it's great, and it I think with me, especially, with me starting my job with Bungie, seeing the parallels between the two is like, this is really how it is in industry. Like getting your team together and everybody's excited because you have this great idea, but now you have to like sit down, focus, and break that idea into actionable steps is exactly what these game companies do in order to produce amazing experiences for the user.
Awesome. I mean, I love to hear that. It's one of the goals we have is not just a traditional educational format. It's, making sure that people are aware. And obviously, this is an industry that's rapidly changing and growing, but keeping students as up to date and moving along with that as best as possible is definitely the goal. So I love to hear that.
Yeah.
Um, and then maybe tell us now, you and I spoke about this previously, and obviously you won't be able to share too much about what you're working on private or work-wise. Obviously, there'd be a little bit of confidentiality there, but in terms of XR projects that you might be working on personally, did you have anything there that you wanted to share with us?
Yeah. So personal project wise, I think everybody who's talked to me has heard me say this, but I am like very much pro weekend warrior projects. So what I like to do is I try to tackle projects that I can take from start to like 80 to 90% completion in a weekend. So either 24 hours and do it on a Saturday or 48 hours and do it the whole weekend. So currently I'm working on a RPG card game that you can play cross-platform. So not really a weekend project because it's been taking me quite a while, but I was able to build it out so far so that I have like the card, like you play a magic card, it does this much damage to this enemy at this position. I built all of that out and I'm able to play it on mobile device, touchscreen, and PC. Um,
Nice.
but now I'm working on creating the VR element of it. So I truly want something where you can play it from anywhere. But the main thing with the VR element that I want to kind of like leverage people like to get into VR is almost like think of like Yu-Gi-Oh or like a Pokemon battle. So like when you're in VR, I want you to be like on the battleground. When you play a card, you see that character pop up. You have haptic effects to feel the attacks in your hands. If you do a lightning attack, I want like storm clouds to appear over the map while you're in your attack phase of the game. So it's very ambitious. And I'm trying to like break it into chunks in my brain and like stay the course. So that's my big project. My smaller project is I decided to recreate Beat Saber with my Spotify playlist. So completely recreated it, added in music videos that play, some like little animated like companion characters that come in and like help you out if you start missing too many beats. But the biggest thing is like it's my music. So I get to play Beat Saber to my wife's bachata playlist or my daughter's Disney princess music video playlist. And so being able to play our music and then see the music videos has been like a really, really fun way to recreate something that I know I like and then make it my own. So going back to that 25% versus 75%. So it's 75% something that people are very familiar with, and then that 25% is what makes it like a Monday project.
Awesome. 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 You've got some people commenting on the side here as well. And I just wanted to note as well to everybody, we're going to go through a little bit of Q&A at the end, but just because it's kind of relevant to what we're speaking to right now, we've got a couple questions about your position at Bungie,
Mhm.
and then in terms of the XR development side. So one here says, curious to know how much of Monday's work at Bungie involves XR development. And the second part of that, it's actually technically a second person who asked this, but do you work freelance or were you hired by the company?
Yeah. So I was hired. So like you were saying, I'm a production engineering manager. So I don't work in XR, but what I was able to learn from XR, I was able to leverage for this job. So my team within Bungie is kind of masters of all. So production engineers with Bungie kind of feed into all the different discipline groups. And so we have to kind of be knowledgeable of everything. And we are truly responsible for removing barriers to make sure that like the engineers, the artists, the visual effects team, whoever they are, can continue to work seamlessly. So anytime they run into a bug or anything like that, like we are the people that need to know how to jump into the code or troubleshoot that issue or whatever it might be. So what I was able to leverage wasn't necessarily the XR side of what I learned through Circuit Stream, but definitely a lot of like me bashing my head on the wall became a good thing because I learned how to troubleshoot C sharp very well. I learned how to understand when somebody's hitting a bear or what error codes mean within Unity. And so during the interview process, when I was telling them about that, that's what they liked. And then they liked my background as a people manager and being knowledgeable and understanding how to, motivate people, how to do like different kind of reviews. So unfortunately, I don't get to work in XR. If Bungie ever does an XR project, my name is first in line before they ever even say anything about it. But, and I guess I would say this to like anybody listening, going through and saying that this is like XR development, you can apply this to anything. So what you learn in XR development can be applied to a 2D project or a 3D project or maybe like a WebGL project that is like XR if you put a headset on, but you can also play it through like a web output method as well. So the knowledge base is there and the understanding of like how things interact and how C sharp as a language functions is really like the biggest thing that I've been able to use.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, thank you for that. I just I saw those questions popping up on the side, and I thought it would be good for us to kind of attack those ones right away.
Yeah.
And then personal projects. I guess yeah, that's kind of all I really had in terms of asking you what you had on the go there. Unless there's anything else that you wanted to share, is there maybe let us know where people can find you as well.
Excuse me. Yeah. So I saw that you've already shared my LinkedIn. So if anybody's interested in connecting with me on LinkedIn, please feel free, even if you want to like, send me a private message and say like, hey, I'm looking at this. Like, I'm always happy to jump on a call and like look at portfolios or help with projects, even if, it's something that I'm not familiar with, because that gives me an opportunity to learn. So definitely connect with me. Send me a message or stay in contact. So I'm like an old man trapped in a young man's body. So I don't have a huge social media presence. I did just start an Instagram page about maybe a month ago to start posting like step by step how I build some of my things. I could put that in the chat, but it's just called xr.journey. Um, so it's brand new. So if it looks like I have like no followers and no friends, it's because I don't. I just started it. Please don't judge me. But I definitely want to use that platform to start giving like almost like creating reels on teaching people how to do like those weekend warrior projects. So I want to be able to post something like, hey, this is how you make Beat Saber in the next 4 videos. And so you have Beat Saber part 1, 2, 3, 4. And by the end of those 4 parts, you've created Beat Saber on your end. And then do the same thing for like an asteroid shooter. And really the mindset behind that is, and because I was there too, I think it's very exciting. And as soon as you create one small thing, you automatically want to create the big thing. That's the real reason why you either reached out to Circuit Stream or started building. And I think people get discouraged a lot of the time because that big thing takes a lot of time and maybe you hit a roadblock or an error or it's not working. So really taking the time to like do those small projects. One, it builds your portfolio. So that way you have a ton of like different skill sets that you can show, but also it just keeps you motivated. Like if you're working on one project and you're just completely stuck and that's all you have, you start to get discouraged and your energy level changes. But if you're like, hey, I created this like Powerpuff Girl side scroller, and that was my weekend project, and it works, and I can play it whenever I want. Like all of a sudden, you're like, I made this. This is my thing. And then you can go back to your bigger project, and now all of a sudden, like the clouds have rolled back. You can look at it, and you're like, oh my gosh, I missed a semicolon. That's why my script isn't working. And so. So that's what I was going to use it for. I'll put it in the chat, but it's just xr.journey if anybody's looking for it. And yeah, that's how you can stay connected with me.
Perfect. And yeah, I think you said before, and it looks like Z has just shared your LinkedIn again on here as well. So yeah, everyone feel free to connect with Monday. Anybody that we ever have here. Monday, you've put it in there as well. So what we're going to do Monday is I'm just going to run through a little bit of quick information about the courses and everything that we have here. Probably take me about 10 minutes or so, and then I will invite you back up on the stage, and we can go through any sort of Q&A that we have on the side here, if that sounds good.
Sounds perfect.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for this. We'll see you in about 5-10 minutes here. And I'm going to boot you off just for now. See you soon, Monday.
See ya.
All right. So I just wanted to share a little bit of information. Obviously, Monday shared, his experience in the industry, his experience with us here at Circuit Stream. So it's nice to let you know a little bit more about our courses and what we have offered. So basically, Monday was saying in terms of moving into XR development, we do have packages available with the 4-week C# course that moves into the 10-week course. But realistically, with that all in mind, there's no prior experience required. You would be able to come in as a completely new person, register for our package courses, and go through the C# and the 10-week course from a beginner standpoint. And obviously, like Monday said, you're not going to be in a position where you're working high level, building massive applications after 10 weeks. But this really would be the way that you would get into the industry and start with your portfolio projects. I mean, that was one of the biggest takeaways that he had mentioned as well there. So, so beginners have no fear. The only requirements that's for our course is that you have hardware that is capable of running Unity. We are recently moving a little bit into some Unreal style courses and workshops as well. But in terms of our actual offered courses through the company right now, and specifically within Unity, the only requirements that you would need is to have a system that can operate and handle Unity download. Unity download is free as well. I always like to mention that for people. And then if you have a device that you can test or run applications or experiences on, it's not required for the courses. A lot of people will ask if you need a headset to take our course. You actually don't, because realistically, the majority of the work you're doing is on a computer system through Unity being the platform that you're using. However, it does allow you to interact and to test and run your applications as you're going through the course if you do have a headset that you are able to extract it to. So basically, if somebody was looking at taking the course and they were looking at budgeting the course costs in a headset, it would make more sense to budget the course first and then look at maybe getting a headset during or after the course. And then, if you do have one and you're going into the course, then you'd be in the position where you can test things out right away, which is great. All of our programs are platform agnostic, meaning that they're designed to provide you with the ability to launch applications on a multitude of devices. So whether you prefer headsets, like an Oculus, or mobile devices, Androids, iPhones, whatever the case may be, you would be able to develop the software kit and export to those devices. Community and support. So, Monday was explaining a little bit about the overall amount of support in this XR community globally. But within Circuit Stream, we have an internal community that's incredibly supportive and collaborative. We have a great network. Basically, we do things like events, game jams. I think we mentioned that earlier as well. But we also have a huge Slack community where all of our current staff, students, and our alumni resides. It's an open network for people to connect with, anybody, if you have questions, if you're new, if you're just looking for a little bit of support, or if you're kind of getting into it and you're working on projects and you're looking at doing some collaboration with other people, that's a really great opportunity for you to collaborate there. And then, yeah, it's great for continued learning, troubleshooting, project support. Lucy and Archie are on our student experience team, and they take really, really good care of our students here. I'm sure Monday probably has experience and knows both of them by now. But yeah, that's a great network. A lot of people ask us about that. Oh, and open office hours, in addition to the course itself, there are 5 open office hours per week where the instructors will be online answering questions in the chat forum outside of the live class times. And speaking of the classes, the interaction design and prototyping for XR, the next upcoming date we have for this one is September 28th. To be fair, we haven't focused a lot on this course here today because the workshop today is focused more on the XR development course. But the interaction design is structured very much the same. It's 10 weeks. It is completely beginner friendly. In a sense, this one might even be considered a little bit more beginner friendly. Shouldn't say it that way, in the sense that there's no coding. So somebody who's looking at moving into XR, and some people are really excited about learning coding and scripting languages, and other people aren't. And we usually find that the people who aren't might fall a little bit more on the design side. So this is the design course here. Like I said, it's structured the same. You're going to have 2 live classes per week, 3 hours of total instruction between the two, 5 open office hours. And then all of the classes are live and also recorded. So you get to keep it. So is this workshop. I should have mentioned that for today, anybody who's looking. But basically, it's our standard format. We run all of our workshops and our courses live, and then we record everything and provide it to everybody in attendance. So that would be the interaction design course. The XR development with Unity course. This is the main focus here today. Like I said, it's 10 weeks, 80 hours, 3 hours of live instruction per week, 5 office hours, portfolio based. And Monday gave you a bunch of information in terms of the portfolio projects that he did as he went through. The upcoming start date for this would be July 26th. And then the Unity Developer Bootcamp. So this is the course that Monday is currently in right now. The next start date would be October 11th. It is a 24-week course, so it's quite a bit longer than our 2 10-week options that we have. But this course is going to prepare you for a 3D development career. It's basically going to take you a little bit outside of XR specific. It certainly does cover portions of that too, but it focuses a bit more on Unity development overall. And you can kind of see on the screen here the different benefits of this course. You're getting career services, building 10 plus projects, including your own idea, C# coding logic, et cetera, et cetera. So that is the bootcamp that we offer. Certification, this just gives you a little bit of a breakdown of kind of what our certification model looks like. So if you take the XR development or the interaction design 10-week course, you will receive certification directly from CircuitStream backed by Unity. This is our partnership certification. The bootcamp would also come with that, but the additional benefit for the 6-month bootcamp is that it does offer a Unity certification as well. So some people would ask, if we're already partnered with Unity, what would be the benefit of having their additional certification? It is the networking opportunity, in my personal opinion. I mean, if somebody is looking to hire somebody in an XR position and they have 1 certification or 2, it's obviously going to look amazing. But the real benefit is that CircuitStream comes with an internal network, and so does Unity. And once you are certified on either side, you are kind of entered into networks. CircuitStream, it's a little bit easier, I guess. It's not so much when you receive the certification. It's more when you register for our courses, you're entered into our network right away for life, if you choose to be, even once you've completed. But Unity, once you receive the certification, you would then actually be entered into their network as well. And you can use that obviously for opportunities, collaboration, whatever the case may be. So this is a good breakdown of our certification levels that we have here. And then pricing, always really fun to share the pricing models as well. All of this information is open upfront on our website, but just to give you kind of a quick run through, the starter package for both our development and design courses is $3,950, and the plus package is $4,950. The big difference between those two is basically that the plus package is going to come with an additional 4 weeks of C# coding and scripting, and it also comes with private one-on-one support with the instructor. So, if you're taking the development course, the plus package is a really good option for students because it comes with the 4 weeks of C# coding first, and that way, allows you to prepare a little bit more for the course versus being in Monday's position where he banged his head against the wall. He said a little bit, but overall, I mean, we do have a huge amount of students that end up jumping into the XR development course without taking the 4-week coding course first. And although I would suggest that it's probably a little bit more of a challenge, it still would be doable. We don't really run into too many issues with people not receiving the support, I guess, that they need after they sign up for the courses regardless. But yeah, that would be the two. So the starter package is $3,950. The plus package is $4,950. And then we also offer finance plans. So for international students, we would be able to offer internal finance plans anywhere from 3 to 12 months. And then for any students located in the United States, we are partnered with Climb Financing. They offer external loans available for up to 5 years. Different sort of options available depending on which course you're doing. And then even within that, they provide a few more options for the financing plans there. So that would be our finance partner, and that would be the payment options for the courses. And then our admissions team, these are all the lovely folks who are chatting with these students as they're reaching out, looking to register for the courses. So we have several of these team members on our university's side, and then we have several who are working directly with students who are calling in to get registered for the courses every day here. So if you have any questions about the courses, there's a good chance if you reach out, you will end up talking to one of these lovely folks. My face used to be up on this screen as well here. So. And then last but not least, this is just some links here. Please don't feel obligated to write these down really quickly. You can take a screenshot if you like, but this whole presentation is recorded and will be sent out to everybody. So if you wanted any access to these links are basically just the registration links for our courses. Circuit Stream would be the CS at the bottom, and then we just have some of our university partners listed there at the side. And then that's it. That's the formal part of the presentation. I can stop sharing information about the courses and stuff here now, which I mean, obviously it's very relevant, but we can bring Monday back up on the screen here, and we can run through some of your questions, which is usually the exciting part here too. So Monday, if you are still here, you're welcome to pop back up. Perfect. And I'm just going to close this presentation because I don't think we need that anymore. And perfect. So let's just take a quick look. I'm going to take a look in the question side here first to see. Do you ever look to monetize your projects? Are they mostly for enjoyment?
So currently, mostly for enjoyment. I have what is it called? Like fear of failure. Like if I put something up and charge somebody 99 cents for it, will they really do anything with it? So a lot of my weekend projects are for enjoyment. The only ones that I've done for monetization have been directly, like if a company came to me and like, hey, could you build like a training simulation for us or something like that? And then of course that's on a contract basis. But yeah, my weekend projects right now, they live on my PC and I keep them close to my chest. Those are my babies, but I'm hopeful to start publishing them on SideQuest, and then just based off of that response, probably start monetizing from there.
Awesome. 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 We had an upvote there, so people were looking at that. Let's see. As a multimedia designer who doesn't have much experience in Unity, but is interested in XR AR, how can I start my career path?
So if you're a designer, I would probably start with the interactive prototype and design course, because that would probably play to your skill set very clearly. If you did want to go into like XR dev and like really go into the development side of things, it's every course that I've taken is very user friendly. So you should be able to start, and I mean, start the course, and then even with your career path, I would say start looking for jobs that you're interested in. Look at what the skill set that they're requiring. You know, a lot of times, especially with like XR, they'll say what specific platform or device they want people to be skilled in building for or building under. So if you see them say like, oh, we want somebody who has Unreal Engine experience, then you know, okay, I need to get familiar with like development or design in Unreal, versus somebody who's looking for like an AR foundation or a Unity developer or an Oculus developer specifically. So I would kind of start there, dig a little bit, do a little research, connect with people on LinkedIn that have like similar job titles that you want, and then just scroll through and see like what certifications or programs they've gone to, and go from there.
Awesome. 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 And I think this next one might be a little bit, I guess it's probably for both of us really, but how divergent, this one was copied and pasted from somebody on our team, but it was in the main chat, but how divergent are the design and development tracks or developer tracks? If you want to do both, where would you start? My answer would be, basically following your passion. Like I said, some people have, a passion for coding and scripting and learning that side and really want control over the development side of a project. Whereas
Mhm.
I talk to a ton of people who have no interest in coding and are designers through and through and want nothing to do with that side of it. But if you're looking at doing both, maybe you could give a little bit of advice on that side, Monday.
No, yeah, exactly what you said is kind of how I was going to start. So always start with your passion. Like if you are a designer or if you love design and like modeling, start with the design course. If you love the like development and you want to dive more into C sharp, you can start with the XR Dev and C sharp course. I think the biggest difference between the two is interactive prototyping and design is not going to be very C sharp heavy. So you're not going to get a lot of like practice or skills doing coding or scripting. It's more about creating these spaces and how to create these spaces, these objects, these interactable things in multiple different platforms throughout the course. So you'll learn how to model in like Shapes XR and like some of the other like modeling and design platforms that are out there for XR versus XR Dev is like very C sharp heavy. Like we talk about like the XR interaction toolkit, but leaving that when it's almost like the track to become a developer and like learning how to script and learning how to code. Um, so they're both, I guess if you were kind of thinking about it as like a tier level, they're both on the same tier. It's just they're two different pathways. Like one is very much a developer, the other one is very much a designer. Ultimately, like it's both introduction friendly, so you could start at either one, and you exiting one, you could still go into the other and not feel like, oh, this is a waste of time because it's two very different topics.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess any sort of feedback from like a company perspective here, I've had I guess my recommendation would be is if you are design focused and you're learning, you're wanting to learn all of it, I'd probably recommend still starting on the design side and getting a basic understanding of Unity first before you start learning the coding and scripting and shifting into that side. That's just my own personal recommendation based on things I've heard from people here. But if you come in as a designer basically and immerse yourself into coding right away, and you haven't really learned the design XR side of it, it probably is going to be a bit daunting for you. So.
Yeah, just a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah. Okay. And then let's do this one. This one's good for you, actually. As a professional web developer of 6 years that has done a handful of virtual reality projects in Unity, how do I break into professional VR and XR development?
So I think that kind of goes into like your presence. So if you have a handful of virtual reality projects in Unity, I would start by making those viewable for people and advertising that they're out there. You can do that through GitHub, just starting a GitHub repo of all your projects and like some of your assets. I know some people are always afraid that like these are my assets, like I don't want to share it with the world, but that's how a lot of people get acknowledged. They're like, oh my gosh, this guy always has like the greatest assets or the scripts or he's working on great projects. Because the people using GitHub are going to be most likely like the developers that you're going to have the opportunity to collaborate with or work with or are going to build like your social presence. So I would start with that. And then also just having a portfolio makes it easier to apply for some of the jobs. Because I think with a lot of XR roles and just roles in general, like they want to see the work that you're capable of doing. So if you're able to, very quickly reply to that email, that message and say like, oh, here's my personal website or here's like my portfolio, I would start there. But ultimately, again, I mean, I don't want to sound like a record on repeat, but it's ultimately playing to your strengths. So I would also take the time to look at like what kind of projects are you developing? If you've been developing a lot of game related projects, like maybe look for, gaming companies that have similar projects on market that align with what your Unity projects are using. Or if you're somebody who's doing more industry related training simulations, what industry are your simulations made for? And then like going and like if you're making, I don't know, car mechanic simulations, like is Toyota expanding their business into like XR developer, and you could find a way to go in there and you already have all these projects that you've been working on that's maybe not showcase like you being able to build a car in VR, but like how to change a tire in VR, how to change oil in VR, and then you pitch that to them, and then all of a sudden like you possibly have a job and a buyout opportunity, like a win-win on both sides.
Oh, 100%. Okay. And then let's do, I've got a couple more here. As a software project manager, what additional skills do I need to be an effective XR program manager?
I think just the knowledge. So the knowledge of XR and being able to maybe not being technical. So a lot of times what you'll see with like roles in like tech and gaming is like if they want somebody that's going to live and breathe in the code or in the editor, they're going to tag like technical or principal onto it. So that way you know that this person needs to be like very knowledgeable in what they're doing. So as an XR program manager, you need to be able, at least in my understanding, you need to be knowledgeable of the language and how the different components interact with each other. So as a product manager, you already have some of the concepts of like, this is how to manage a project. This is what I need to do. This is how to create milestones and deadlines and accountability and all of those things. Once you're able to speak that language and say like, oh, we need to do this SDK, or we need to import or export, or we need to have this method or this class or this asset, like all these things, once you have that language folded into like your daily like language dictionary, I think you would be well suited for that XR program management, which you can get through like the XR dev course. Like you would be a very high powered program manager. Like if you could walk up to a developer and say like, hey, why weren't you able to create this UI element by its deadline? And they gave you, you know, maybe not the most truthful response, but then you being knowledgeable because you went through the XR dev course and you know C sharp, you could tell them like, oh, well, this UI element is actually in this SDK and you can attach it here by using this toolkit. Like the look on their face, like, whew, you'd be a beast of a program manager at that point.
I love that. And then this one's definitely for you. Whoops, almost deleted the question instead of posting it. There we go. Is it okay to use Unity and C Sharp on Ubuntu?
So I don't know. I saw this one pop up. So I am still very much like a baby XR developer, even though I've been through the courses. There's so many new things and new applications. So I apologize. I can't answer that for you, but I will definitely look it up. And if you, you know, connect with me on LinkedIn, just say like, hey, I was the person that asked about Ubuntu. Like, I will give you an answer. I will do my research. But I don't know off the top of my head.
Awesome. And likewise, I mean, I don't know if I'm sure some of our instructor staff will probably have a little bit of info on that too. So if we didn't give you the answer on that today, please connect with Monday. Please connect with us, and we'll definitely get you more information on that one for sure.
Mhm.
And then let's see. Does it make sense to do 2D UX UI course before jumping into 3D design?
I would say yes and no. I don't think it's going to hurt anything to do like a 2D UX UI course. But since it's 3D, you're almost still going to have to like relearn it for like a 3D ecosystem. So just talking with some of like 3D designers, especially like 3D UX UI designers, you have to think about everything spatially. So how is it going to interact with everything? How are shadows going to interact? What is the user experience like? Is it at eye level? Is it higher? Is it lower? Is it farther away? Like all these different things that you might not have to consider in a 2D world. But I think the base principles would be the same. So if you decide to go through like a 2D UX UI first, I don't think it's going to hurt anything. But I don't necessarily think it's necessary because learning design in a 3D atmosphere is still like you have to take so many other things into consideration.
Absolutely. Perfect. Let me put that one there. Oh, and I should note to everybody as well, I did publish a poll just asking people's Unity experience. So feel free to pop over to the polls tab and click on your level of experience there as well. And then a question here. Now, this is probably a difficult question for you to answer because it would really kind of depend on how much you're enjoying your current role in addition to what you're doing within XR. But you know, would you leave your current position to get more into an XR development position, whether it's entrepreneurial or within another company? It's such a hard thing to say, I would say, right? Like it's I basically it's probably easy to say if an amazing opportunity came for you, you probably wouldn't say no to it. But you know, I'll let you answer that one.
Yeah. So my wife has told me I'm not allowed to change jobs for quite a while because I've changed careers quite a bit. Just with like my roles have just changed. I've been lucky to have great opportunities to take new opportunities. I absolutely love what I'm doing with Bungie and the team I get to work with. And it was like a dream come true to be able to work at a gaming company and break into tech, especially somebody who did not go to school for computers in any way, did not even know what scripting and coding and all this stuff was 9 months ago, to now be like, I'm working for Bungie, like Bungie. Um, so current state, no, I don't. It would have to be some crazy, ridiculous thing. Because even entrepreneurial or with another company, I don't think I would get the same opportunities for growth that I have at Bungie, or the opportunities to just learn from the people around me. Like I mean, it's great. I've learned so much already. I love what I do. I would never not consider it, but but I'm a Bungie guy right now.
So for you, the ideal answer there would be if they opened up an amazing XR role for you within Bungie, then that would be the dream, right?
Oh my gosh. I said it during my
Yeah.
interview process. I was just like, I know what I do is not XR related, but if you guys ever do it, like I am moving into development. Like I love being a production engineering manager, but I would love to do development on XR with Bungie, knowing their catalog of games and the caliber of games that they build. I can only imagine, playing their game in a VR simulation or something like that.
Oh, absolutely. And I guess to further support that answer, at least from the circuit stream side, Khalil, we do have a ton of people that are moving into specific XR roles. It just, it really depends on how they're doing it. Like if somebody's brand new moving into this and they're not looking to collaborate or combine it with any other career experience or job experience that they have, then they're going to be starting new, and it's probably going to take a couple years for them to be in a position where they're going to be offered an amazing role at an XR development company or an XR development position within a large company. Usually it's more so people building their portfolio, building their experience for a year or so leading up to that. Now,
Mhm.
having said that, we have people who have come to us and said, I'm going to take 10 years of career experience from this industry I've been in, architecture, for example, and I'm going to learn XR, and then I'm going to start combining the two. They might be in a position or might be a little bit more attractive to an architectural company to hire for XR positions than somebody who's just learning XR brand new and isn't combining it with previous experience. So, there's always different scenarios, but basically, Khalil, what I mean to say is there's a lot of people and there's a lot of opportunities in XR. Monday Monday is a special case in the sense that he's kind of found his dream job within a company, and he's just waiting for them to change that role into an XR category. But overall, Monday, like if you weren't working for a company that you loved so much, you'd probably be looking quite
Yeah.
regularly for XR positions too, right? So
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did prior to this. Like I stumbled upon this Bungie job because I put it in my head that I'm going to apply for 5 jobs a day until I get something back. So I was applying for XR jobs, game development jobs, and just to add to it, so a lot of
mhm,
times in XR development, you won't necessarily just see XR development. So XR is like its whole platform. So you'll see XR UI designer, XR audio engineer, XR software engineer, like all these different strings attached to XR. So it kind of goes back into playing to your strengths. Like you might start off as like an XR audio engineer, knowing that you want to be in software, but there's just nothing software right now. You're doing like background music and audio button clicks and footsteps for an XR game or simulation, whatever it might be. But I think with me, one of the biggest things that I've learned, with my role and really with any role is it's about getting your foot in the door. So even if it is not XR, but this company has XR, like find something similar might be. Or if you want to be like, I know I want to be in like XR and I want to create like a world design, but there's a position for like XR, maybe you're doing like AI combatants or something like that. Like find your niche because ultimately you're building your portfolio and your skill set. So XR is huge. There's so many different things you can do. There's so many applications. You have games, you have training simulations. I just saw this new thing on LinkedIn where people are now doing like yoga and meditation in XR. And it's just like, there's so many different things you can do.
See, I've got to try that myself.
It's,
I've done quite a bit of yoga in my life, and I've just been curious what it would be like in an XR world, and I've been thinking about it. And this is the first time I've heard somebody say it to me, so we'll have to chat about that after.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think that is it for the main questions. I'm just going to take one more quick scroll along the side here and see if there's anything that we missed. But I don't think so. Um, oh, this is one. What are some recommended project passion projects that can make your XR portfolio stand out? Kind of a
Uh,
broad question, but
yeah, so I would just say to stay varied. So it's very easy to say like I'm good at making fantasy games or shooter games. I think for some reason, I think shooter games are like the easiest thing for to go to in XR. I think like that's the villain in all of us. We want to either have like a superpower or be able to create mayhem. Um, but I would say be very aware of like the type of projects you're doing, and change it up. Like I love building large scale VR environments. I built this whole like VR space odyssey game where you're on this alien planet and it's just massive. And I just walk around. It's you just walk around in VR and just experience being on an alien planet. And I kept finding myself either making games similar to that or adding to that game. And so I told myself, stop, like make a 2D game. And so I recreated Asteroids and then I recreated Pac-Man within Unity using a completely different skill set. But I think doing passion projects like that, where it's still things that you like if you love like doing like a Mortal Kombat type of like side to side fighter game, like make that. Like make it in its most simplest aspect, even if it's like a square and a circle just bumping into each other, and depending on which collides with the other first does damage. Like do something like that, just to keep yourself guessing and challenging yourself and being okay with not being fully comfortable. And then when you have the time, you can work on some of those other projects like your space project or your first person shooter, or whatever it might be, that now you have the opportunity to make it to bigger projects. Um, so yeah.
yeah, and yeah, absolutely. And the only thing I could say is probably like you said at the beginning, if you're looking to go into a specific area or a specific industry within XR, if you make your portfolio projects kind of reflect that, then obviously that's probably going to land better for you too once you're in an interview stage there. So
Mhm.
Um, well, awesome. Well, I think that's it. That's all of the questions that we had here for today. So, obviously, thank you, Monday, for everything. This has been great. I do apologize. My connection on my end is a little bit dodgier than I thought it was today. And I can't see your camera right now. So if
Oh,
anybody else is in the same position as me, hopefully the content was the takeaway. You know what all the topics we were talking about here and the questions and the information that we went through. But if anybody has any questions, Monday shared his contact information, his LinkedIn profile. He is open. You're welcome to connect with him. You can reach out to me through the company or on LinkedIn. My name is Tyler Trapp. And basically, if you reach out, one of us will take care of you for sure.
absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much, Monday. I'll wish everybody here a happy Thursday. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Um, We've got some thank yous coming in at the side here. Appreciate. Yes. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you to everybody joining from New York as well. I can't believe how many people we had from there today. So that's great.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll leave it there. Thank you, everyone. Hope everybody has an amazing weekend.
All right. Thank
Cheers.
you all.
Okay. Bye bye.